Good morning, everybody. Putting together another video today. This figure by request. I'll be making an Ivan Putski.
Print Fury Customs. Contact the man himself, Kevin Pelkey, on Facebook. Print Fury Customs. You won't be sorry.
So this build today is going to be a little bit more complex than some of the recent builds I've had. Obviously taking a break from the glue prototypes, but I'll be using parts from essentially all four of these glue figures to put this figure together, and of course the Ivan Putski head over here, which is a scanned Jax figure. Had the request to build Ivan Putski, and kind of got a little bit of creative freedom, probably taking a little bit too much creative freedom on this one, but kind of want to embrace the muscular build. So today I'll be using kind of the torso of Butch Reed, the legs of Tom Zenk, and I'm going to try to use the arm of this flare and this flare, just mirrored copies of each other. I really like this arm here, the no wrist tape, and just kind of the pose here. I'm going to try to turn those in, just to kind of turn it into a flex pose if possible. So getting right into it, I'll start with the Butch Reed, and the first thing I'm going to do is just do a quick plane cut and remove the legs and get them ready for the Tom Zenk. You've probably all seen some videos on how this plane cut works. If you ever have any questions, feel free to send me a message on it. But I've gone through this quite a few times, so I'm just going to try to fly through this. There's going to be a lot of cuts in this video, a lot of reattaches, a lot of smoothing, and a lot of just kind of a lot of work on this one. And hopefully I can get it together in a reasonable amount of time, and we'll kind of see what happens here. So again, want to use the legs. Just making sure I get what I want. Accept that. And I'm not too worried about this fist over here. I can cut that off pretty quickly and easily. T to transform, and I'm just going to slide this over, reposition that. What I remember about Putski was just the incredible build. Dude was just jacked. So hopefully I can kind of pull that together today. I'm going to separate that shell and just quickly delete that piece of the fist. So this one here, just hit the trash can icon and dump that. So now I've got these two parts, and I'm just going to slide flare out of the way here real quick, just to give me a little bit more working room on this. Accept that. So I think I've sort of got this in place. I'm going to T to transform again and just make these legs just a hair bigger. Slide them forward. Just kind of play with these two arrows, the red and green, just till I get it right where I want it. And then I'll smooth off the back part of that. So we'll dig that. And just gonna do a quick smooth, shrink smooth. Spin around. sort of cut into that a little bit. And the tool to make this a little bit faster is going to be the move tool, so I can kind of move that portion of the back in a little bit. With this many cuts, this could be either a really good build, or I could be making a lot more work and headaches than it may be worth it. But sometimes I like making the complicated builds a lot more funner than just the simple head swap, or you know, the quote-unquote easier builds. I like to sort of challenge myself as to, you know, what I'm gonna be able to accomplish. How many cuts can I do and still make it look somewhat resemblant of the figure I'm trying to make, the wrestler I'm trying to make. And I'm just going to go back to the legs. Increase size just a touch. Rework that angle. And go back into, accept that and go back in and shrink smooth again. Try to speed up a bit more, use the move tool, move those parts in. Just trying to quickly get that back to line up with the Zank waist. Got flare cutting in there. Come back through, smooth it out again. Butch Reed, probably not the first figure that comes to mind in making a Putski, an Ivan Putski build, but I spent a lot of time this morning just kind of looking over the type of figures, kind of deciding on this recipe, if you will, what I wanted to do. And I felt it would definitely be original. Of course, using glue parts, not a lot of customizers are using glue parts just due to the size of it, with the ability to kind of readjust size and make this as big as I want or as small as I want and shrink up and match up to any part. Kind of gives this style the advantage in that regard. Definitely seen a lot of Putskis with, you know, the Mr. Wonderful body. In fact, I actually started a figure using Mr. Wonderful as the base figure, and didn't quite love how it was coming out, so kind of back to the drawing board and kind of re-looking at it and studying some of the figures and the pictures online. Pretty happy with the idea behind this figure. We're just going to hope to see if I can pull it off. So far it's looking pretty rad. And shrink smooth these legs a little bit. Get rid of that space. Cut that down. Still want to try to maintain that waistband if possible. But just kind of line it up there best as I can. Pinch tool is a pretty cool tool possibly to use here. And just kind of redraw that waistline in. I can come back through and shrink smooth that over again too, but pinch tool will give it a little bit of a harder line here, which is sort of what I'm looking for. Kind of giving that waist. Got more of a defined line there. Same thing over here. Just kind of pinch that in. Be careful not to be too aggressive here. There. Clean that up quite a bit. There. Generally speaking, that's not too bad. Centered up, kind of lined up quite well. Center of the body with the center of the back line. It's really got a pretty monstrous back. Might be overdoing it here with the back muscle or the size of that butchered back, but I'm gonna live with it and hope the buyer is gonna dig it as well. A little bit of shrink smooth. Knead it again. Adjust my size. Just kind of smooth out this ab. Unfortunately, taking away a little bit of detail, but it's quite okay. It doesn't have to be too perfect. If you overdo it, Control Z is a hotkey for undo. There. And now I will union those two together. And maybe I'll come back and touch that waistline a little bit. But for now, we'll Boolean union, see if we can get that to cease together. We got a success, so I'll go ahead and accept that. and then we'll start working on the arms. Probably the first thing I'll do is just remove the arms on this side on the Butch Reed figure, and then I'll get back and cut the flares and move those over. Hopefully I can get them to line up quite how I'm hoping. So in order to cut those, I am going to use my select tool just so I know I'm not cutting during the plane cut, cutting his legs or anything like that off. Didn't quite get what I needed. Redraw the select tool and then edit, plane cut right here. And I'll take it right down that line there. Click that arrow to redo your selection and then cut that off. Come back over, select tool. If I click the right one, select tool, grab this arm. Yep, grabbed it. And then edit up here, plane cut again. And take it right down the shoulder blade again, right to the armpit. And accept. So that'll give us kind of a working torso to move over the flare arms. Same thing here, we're just going to do a plain cut. This one I don't necessarily care about the rest of the flare figure, so I can just do a straight up plain cut without using the select tool. And then I can delete any of the pieces afterwards if I'm not too keen on where the cut was. Going to give a little bit more to work with here just in case. I'll accept that and get that ready to move over. Quick easy way to get rid of these extra pieces here: separate your shells. That'll turn those into pieces that you can go ahead and just quickly delete just by using the trash can function. Now I'm just going to grab that, T to transform, and then slide that right over and see if I can't quickly get this into place the way I'm hoping. Green and blue arrows to kind of find where you want it to be. We'll need to adjust size a little bit to kind of play with this. One thing I got to be careful of is making sure I adjust the size equally on the two arms and not go too crazy with the size adjustments for one arm over the other. One thing I remember about Putski is the just sort of the appearance he had, where his arms were they just felt really short. So that's kind of why I'm working with this flare arm. I feel like it's going to match up pretty well. And then I want to move it in, give it more of a Putski flex, if you will. That's sort of the position I want. And then what I'll do is I'll plane cut here and try to turn that arm in a little bit. So sort of doing a sort of a risky move here, risky build. This could either come out looking really good, or I could have sort of a mess on my hands. We'll see what happens. Working on just kind of lining that shoulder up sort of as good as I can. It's going to be okay to have some of the, like this piece here. I can just quickly smooth that out, cut some of that out. I think in general that's kind of what I was looking for. Can only really do this once, so move it back and forth until you get the right size. the right angle and everything else that you want to, how you want that to look. We'll accept that for now, and let's go ahead and work on smoothing out some of this. So sculpt, shrink. Just kind of take some of this back just a little bit. Don't need to take a lot off, just enough so that the two seams sort of line up together. And then I'll do the same thing with the Ric Flair arm, sculpt, shrink. One thing I'm noticing, just that little red speck right there, if you can see that. I'm going to go ahead and use my analysis tool in just a few minutes, and I'll have the AI take care of that and fill that spot. Probably just a little hole in the union of the two parts. Shrink that down enough. Again, we can come back and add more detail or smooth more out after we join these two together. So let's try a join and see how that's going to look. Digging the oversized shoulders for sure. Let's go ahead and union. We'll accept that for now. Once they're one piece, then I can go ahead and smooth that seam together. So now that it's together, sculpt. You can see every time I make a cut and a union, the colors do change on parts of the figs. Doesn't necessarily affect anything, and I actually kind of like working with the different colors and smoothing the seams. Zoom in a little bit just to see that, where that seam needed a little bit more work. Shrink smooth is not working for you. Bubble smooth is another nice one to go ahead and work on these seams a little bit, especially if they're starting to kind of cave in on each other a little bit. Increase size if you're starting to get some dents and bubbles that you're not expecting or not wanting. Play the size, play with the strength of it. And let's go with that for now. We'll be able to cut that in, turn that wrist in, and hopefully make it more of a flex pose. But for now, let's go ahead and work on the other flare arm. So let's grab this flare here, and just real quickly, I'll come in and just do again, another plane cut. So edit, plane cut. Take it right down to the armpit. Make sure you grab the part you want. Hit accept on that. And then again, separate your shells and just get rid of the pieces that you don't want. So now you're left with just the arm. And now it's time to slide this over and bring this into place. Play with the angles. I feel like this one's already a decent size, so I'm just going to bring down the size just a touch. And again, I'm just trying to work on getting that into place, excuse me. And then I can go ahead and just smooth all that. So I'm thinking we're right about where we want it. Close enough, so I'll go ahead and accept that. And then come back through, shrink smooth. Work on the arm first. Just kind of smooth that line out. Try to get it to line up with the torso. Grab the body, shrink smooth, just bring that, cut that back in a little bit. If it's too far off, like that might be, there's sort of another cool tool I like to use to just make that match up a little bit, but I think we're doing okay. You can always use the enlarge brush. That seems to do a pretty good job of kind of increasing sort of size on everything. Shrink smooth again, bring my size down. I just want to cut this line in here a little bit. Already looking like a pretty tough power pose. Digging that. So let's go ahead and just Let's join these together. It's a little different size, a little different shape and size to the back shoulder, but I don't think that's going to be enough to cause it to look too far off as the original thought, what we were trying to do. Let's join these two together now. Accept that. And one thing I didn't necessarily look too closely at is how well that's straight up and down. I think we're going to be fine. This figure should still actually stand once it's all said and done. Got a little bit of another little spot there. So now's a good time. Let's go ahead and use the analysis tool and just clean those up. We'll do the inspector. Finds a spot there, a couple spots there on the interior most likely, and then that there. So we'll go ahead and auto repair and just have the computer fix those defects for us. And now come back with our sculpting tools. Start off with the bubble sculpt. That was a little aggressive. Let's do shrink smooth. Just focusing on this seam here. Making that a smooth union. And just the size as needed if you're cutting in a little bit more than you want. And that gives a pretty decent looking profile there. The shoulder is definitely a little bit bigger than I probably anticipated, but I can shrink that down a little bit just to try to match. Doesn't have to be completely symmetrical, but closer the better probably in my eyes, I guess. Work on those factory mode lines, just kind of smooth that out a bit. Can leave a little definition there as it does appear that it's got the veins. Don't want to smooth out the veins, just the factory lines. Just a touch. Come down, you can touch the mold lines on the legs as well. Smooth that up and give it a little bit more of a finished look. Re-smoothing out this lower back. Giving a little bit more of a smooth look here. Look at that waistline just a second here. Bring my size down and just touch that waistline right there. Coming along pretty nice. So the thought that I had was to cut those arms and bring them in a bit, and we're going to try that right now. Actually, let's go ahead and move the head into place, and I will do a quick save where I'm at just so I don't lose what I'm working on this next attempt of adjusting his pose. Use all angles to kind of get the head where you want it. I oversize it just a touch when I'm lining it up, and then I can always bring the size back down as needed once I do a plane cut on the old head. Just trying to line that up best as I can. Still want him to have resemblance of a chin, but I think we're getting there. Let's go with that. And now let's accept that positioning, that size for the time being. And then we'll go ahead and cut the Ron Simmons head off of that. Just using a simple plane cut here. Edit, plane cut. I like to cut in somewhere around this angle here. And then I can shrink out what's left. Let's accept that for now. And now we've got what looks like already an Ivan Putski. So readjust the angle, readjust the positioning. And now let's go ahead and accept that position. I think I've done this in the past. I like to, I'll give that just a smooth looking texture when I'm done, but I want to eliminate that chin real quick. Sculpt, shrink smooth again. And now just do away with that. I like to go along the seam here. Just paying attention, especially this hairline. Let's get rid of this. Smooth all that down. This figure will be available. I'll try to get it loaded up to Cults so that you guys can purchase the STL if you're interested in. If you want just the STL file, or if you want me to print it, I do print all my own figures. I can even offer to paint this. I've got a partnership with Alan Carpenter for paint. So we can do all of that as well, but this will be available as an STL. You can either email me or message me directly. find me on Facebook, Kevin Pelkey or Print Fury Customs. Send me a message and I can just email you the STL file directly, or you can wait and I can load it up on the cults when I get the time. I don't mind doing it either way. Now that that's mostly in the right spot, let's zoom back out, make sure I like the size, make sure I like all the details. And then, sorry, I'm just making sure I like it, making sure I like the size. I think it's pretty good. So now let's go ahead and just union those two together and see if we can't get that to go into place. We'll accept that. And then the next step is I'll smooth out that seam between the head and the neck. And then I'll smooth over his face, give that a little bit of a more smooth texture. Again, when printing, that won't be a big deal. That texture won't really show up, but for the 3D side of it, I do like to smooth that out a little bit. So again, shrink. Focus on this neck here. Ended up a little bump. Not a big deal. I said I was going to do, just kind of smooth over this noise a little bit. Being careful not to be too heavy with the smooth. You don't want to remove any detail. You just want to just kind of take that fuzz out a little bit, give them more of a smoother texture, make it look more like skin, really. If you guys have requests for the next video, feel free to give me a shout. But overall, I'm digging where this is at, although I don't know if it's going to bother me as much as it bothers anybody else. Or I don't know if it's going to bother anybody else as much as it's kind of bothering me. It's just the size of the shoulder, so I'm just coming in and shrinking that down just a touch. Looks like he's got a basketball on his shoulder, which is not far from accurate. And then one thing I do want to do real quick, I'm going to take a couple of seconds to save this down. So I'll pause it while I save. Hang tight, I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back now after I just saved that. Just wanted to make sure in case I kind of mess up this next move. Not super confident it's going to work out the way I want it to, so let's go ahead and give it a whirl. What I want to do is I'm going to select this arm. We'll do one at a time. Select this arm, and then I'm going to do a plane cut right down that seam, and I'm going to try to turn that arm in. So use that look and plane cut. Cut right through. And what I'm going to do this time is actually going to keep both. Accept. And come back and separate shells. So that gives me two pieces here, the arm and then the upper. And what I want to do is I'm going to transform, and I'm going to turn this in. That's where it's going to get a little tricky. Use that blue. Turn that in, bring that up. I'm going to do two things. Kind of give that appearance of flexing, and also probably shorten his arms quite a bit. Putski had those really short looking arms, so really okay with that appearance of his arms getting shorter. But I don't want him to be too short, so something like that. I'll do the other side too, just to make sure I like it before I start fusing them together. So again, this trick is select the arm. I just want to cut right across there, so plane cut. Keep both. Separate shell. And now let's go ahead and slide this one over. Try to give it roughly the same angle. Sort of like the looks of that one a little bit better than the other side, so I may try to mirror that up. I can go ahead and fill that side back in. Let's accept that. Let's go back to this side here. I just want to again, just trying to give him the appearance of sort of flexing. Can even turn the wrists in just a bit. And even exaggerate that a little bit more. Thinking that's too far off. It's okay if it's not perfect. His legs aren't perfect either, so let's work on filling this space. What I'm going to do is just go back to sculpt. And I can inflate that space in there a little bit. And then I'll come back and smooth. Probably destroying the integrity of the elbow back there, but that's okay. Side's looking all right. Again, not perfect, but not bad either. Let's go ahead and try to join these together. Boolean union. And then I'll work on resmoothing those. Set that join. And now shrink smooth. Maybe even a little bubble smooth. Bubble in there. Just kind of bring that out a little bit. And then let's join that to the other side. Union again. So hopefully this video you got to see how I kind of reposition those arms to kind of give a different, completely different pose. I think I really like it. I think a lot of people are going to actually like this figure. Let me accept that. I'll smooth those out. I'll make it solid, and then I'll give it one more final touch, smooth, and take some pictures and call this one done. I'm hoping the appearance of the anatomy isn't too messed up here on the back of these elbows, but it might be all right. So one last thing is the Edit Make Solid tool. And then change the solid type to accurate. Add in a 0 here. Increase the detail, update. Okay, so now that that's all solid, let me grab my shrink smooth and I'll just touch up a few pieces. And I think this guy is ready to be finalized. Send him off to the printer today, get him out to the customer. Overall, that was a good smooth. I don't have too many issues here to clean up. He is done. So I'll go ahead and get some pictures of him off to the client. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this video. I'll be back to hopefully put on something in the next day or two. Thanks for watching, guys, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Thanks.